on every week. You can't have a good car every week. But the 16, 17, 99, and 11 all were just blah. They were just all average, all four of them.
Something has happened to Roush this year. They don't have the cars. I don't know what happened. And
the 6 was terrible.
They need to, I said when Reagan got taken out in that wreck, that was definitely putting him out of his misery because he was running terrible.
30. You said he was running in the 30s.
Yeah, he was running in the 30s all day. It was, and if you pay attention, read between the lines, I guarantee you, Jack Roush is very concerned about that 6 team right now. But this whole team, they are in a funk, and I couldn't tell you what is wrong, but they are. And
because pretty much from about 50 laps in, they weren't terrible, but all three of them were like clumped, seriously, like 13th to 17th, just blah.
They remind me of RCR last year, the way they all ran decent enough that they're going to make the chase, but they're not
contenders at all.
Yeah.
I think you know what yesterday even shows me. I think yesterday was kind of a microcosm of the year so far, in that I would say Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart look like the 4 best drivers right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and actually just like yesterday, with also in addition of the microcosm, Kyle Busch is kind of just out there with those 4 just on the outside of like the 4. Well, those are the 4 to beat, I think.
Yeah, those are the 4 to beat. Again, I'm not concerned about Kyle Busch making the chase by any stretch of the imagination, though.
But it really was kind of a microcosm to me.
If he continues, I mean, again, going back to Kyle Busch, if he keeps making top 10s, he'll be there. He'll be fine, and I think he'll win another race before we're done.
Well, the interesting thing about the chase, like you said, I won't forget this. You said it a couple weeks ago. You can't help but have a feeling that there's going to be a driver or two that just kind of like, really, they made the chase.
It's heading that way. I mean, Montoya is really gaining momentum as far as making the chase, and yet he doesn't have a top 5 this year. Something about that screams bad to me.
And also, and with you said the possibility of even 2 of those. David Rudiman. I mean, that's great because if you make, I don't know if you would agree with this, but if you make the chase, you obviously did enough to make the chase.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like, this is why I think it needs to be 10 again.
Nobody are you serious? Nobody could outrun David Rudiman? That's kind of what it is to me. And think of some of the names that are on the outside looking in, like Burton and Earnhardt Jr. Like, you guys got outrun by David Rudiman. This is sad.
There's been years, and I remember this. There's been years where it's just a odd year, they'll call it, where nobody wants to win the championship. Have you heard of those years?
That was 2002. 2002 was like that.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. There's been a few, like I remember they said 1996 was like that, and it's just kind of like, this seems like one of those years where it might be nobody wants to make the chase toward the end.
Yeah.
They'll
all be racing each other for making the chase in 23rd or something like that.
If Juan Montoya, if after 26 races, Montoya has 12 top 10s, let's say, but no top 5s or 1 top 5, I'm just kind of like, really?
That's gonna bug me. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna bug me. Not that they should change the rules. I mean,
I think it should be 10, but
well, I mean, I'm saying not. I mean, what I was implying was, would they change the rules so that you can't make the chase unless you have a top 5? Yeah. I mean, that's almost ridiculous. Do we really have to go that far? But yeah.
But it just seems like it could be one of those years.
Though I'll say this for Montoya though. Considering that he's driving for Earnhardt Ganassi, what's known as Earnhardt Ganassi Racing now, as a previous to just Ganassi and all that, and the skills that he's shown, we're racing Daytona this week. He could win. There's a lot of guys that can win Daytona, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the top 5 or win. I also wouldn't be surprised to see that he caused the big one.
I know.
So.
Yeah, I know. If he does make the chase and finishes like I just said in the scenario with 12, 13 top 10s, even if it's 1 or 2 top 5s, I still think at least he was running. I could see him in the chase.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets like 13 top 10, at least I'll say, well, that's like half the races in the chase. I mean, there's a lot of guys that won't get 13 top 10s in a year, but he's got to get some top 5s. Like I have to think
it's starting to I feel like his stat line is going to look, well, maybe not as good, but I feel like his stat line is going to look like Jimmy Johnson's rookie year, or like we say, like Clint Boyer. Jimmy Johnson 6 top 5s, 22 top 10s. Really?
Yeah, he's like, I can finish 9th with the best of them. So, that's the real disappointing thing.
But I feel like I'm showing a little more enthusiasm even because I thought the race yesterday was really good.
There was a lot of good racing there, and Kurt Busch and Gordon were going at it, and that's great.
And then after the race, it was just cool. They were smiling about it. They were like, yeah it was awesome.
Even though we know Gordon wasn't really happy with him on the radio. Is that two-faced much?
Yeah, but it was... Man, and then Junior, for a little bit there, Junior ducked low.
There was that moment he tried to go 3 wide for the lead, and I turned into a blabbering idiot.
You did. Well, you weren't an idiot, but you were. Very
No, I was
excited.
I was a blabbering idiot. I didn't say anything comprehensible. It was just grunts. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't.
So,
but it was. I hadn't been able to grunt like that in several months.
So, but it's just I'm thinking about the chase, and because I looked at it, and you're right. I mean, you're right. There's so many things to look at with the Roush cars. Like, yeah, they're probably all three gonna make it, and yet they're not.
Well, again, they're gonna make it, but you know why? Because there's nobody who can challenge them.
I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be I'm gonna say from like seventh on back. Once the chase is, it's gonna be very interesting to see who finishes 12th, because there's a bunch of guys that are like blah right now.
It would be funny if we had like a three-way tie for 10th in points.
Yeah.
Between Montoya and Kane and watch it be Martin, because he'll win 5 races, but he'll wreck out of 10.
Yeah, but what I've seen so far, like I said, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, and Tony Stewart, pretty consistently straight through the first 17 have been the best 4.
Actually, and here's the one thing I'm hoping for as far as the chase. I'm hoping when we get to race 26, Mark Martin has 4 wins, but is 10th in points, so that when we get to the chase, he will vault to the top of the point standings, and everybody's gonna go, but this was the guy that was 10th in points, and everybody's gonna get freaking out about it, and it's just gonna be so funny to watch. That probably won't happen just because.
That's why it needs to go back to the other way it was again, but no. Well, he's got 3. What? Makes
a lot of people will be like, we don't need the chase. Screw the chase. Get rid of the chase.
Well, that's a lot of a lot of very old-fashioned fans that think that.
I don't know. I don't think that's a completely old-fashioned argument.
I think, I hated the chase when it first came out, but look at what it did in its inaugural year.
Well, I'll maintain this: the chase is exciting, but it's not fair, and I've said that from the get-go, and that's okay with me because I like exciting.
I cite Jeff Gordon in there a couple times, but you even seem to agree that's kind of yeah, I could understand. It's not fair.
It's not fair, but the only thing about it in defense of the chase is that at least everybody before the season knows that it's going to happen. So, I mean, even Gordon, he's just we're leading the point. I mean, even those years, he was we're leading the points, but oh well, kind of thing. It doesn't make any difference until,
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter until you're 4 races away from the end of the season. That's okay, lead the points now matters.
It's just funny how I think the first year of in my opinion, the first year of the chase was the most exciting.
It was. It's funny too. No other year has lived up to it.
Yeah, but that first year was unbelievable. I will actually never forget that last race.
Man, I had money on Kurt Busch too.
On the racetrack and in the points, it was nuts.
Yeah. I really need to get an audience with Kurt Busch and told him how much I appreciate him winning race tickets for me that year.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah, I know. I looked like a real genius, didn't I? For those who don't know, I had a bet with my father that year about the championship, and I picked Kurt Busch to win 04, and he picked.
You were probably sweating bullets a little bit there.
He picked the person he picked was I want to say he picked Tony Stewart.
Oh, well, then he wasn't even in it.
Yeah, I had it kind of clinched before the last race, but I still wanted to be right.
Wait, I forget. I always forget. Is your bet who wins
he picked Junior. That's right. Sorry, he picked
I always
Junior.
forget. Is your bet who wins it or just who finishes higher?
Well, we were picking to who would win the championship. But I mean, there's a good chance we were both going to be wrong. In fact, we were both wrong the last couple of years. So the last couple of years we've done it.
So then it just defaults to who finishes higher.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you had that clinch then.
Oh yeah, but still, I mean, I like being right. All right.
But it was a good race.
Yeah, it was some good. Yeah, and I'm gonna say I'm satisfied with. I think
despite even being
it was anticlimactic, but as the final coda to this all, I'm gonna say I'm happy that we have a different name on the winners list this year. That I'm happy that at least at the very least we'll look back and say, Loudon, if nothing else, was a race where I'm gonna remember because that rookie pulled it off. He pulled it out of his butt.
And the other thing is it was anticlimactic, but in a way it wasn't because it was seriously is he going to run out? Is he going to run out?
Yeah, there was a chance that he could have run out under caution. In fact, even Gordon, some drivers I think were upset that they pulled him on pit road when they did because really the track wasn't gone yet. But eventually did go. But I mean, if they kept going until it went out, he probably would have run out of gas. Though I'm sure Gordon would have been a really nice guy and pushed him around.
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
But no, it was good for him. I agree with you. I think I heard just one last thing. I think I heard that they are very close, if not have passed the amount of winners from last year.
The last year, well, what do you expect when you had 3 drivers account for 2/3 of the season? Yeah. Oh, one last thing about the race yesterday. You might have noticed that Bill Weber was not in the broadcast booth. I got a call from my dad on the way out here. He has actually dug up what happened. He found it.
Really?
He found it. Charlotte Observer had an article on it. He got suspended for one race by TNT and NBC. Apparently, he got into a very public and loud shouting match at